everyone. How you doing? Hopefully, this is something that works and I am able to tag the people I want. But if it doesn't work, that's okay. Yeah, it doesn't work. Or I haven't got the patience to make it work. So this video is about one man. I want to tell you the story of just one man. I am trying to pay homage to my heroes. If you know me, you know this is something I do. And yeah, I would have preferred that I went to this man myself and I'd have spoken to this man and I'd have, but he passed in 2020. That doesn't mean he is forgotten, because he will never be forgotten. Yesterday, I put up a post with his picture. And those who knew us, people were in my inbox asking, I did not know you were that close to this man. And I'm like, well, close is an interesting thing. There are certain things that are done for performance, and there are certain things that are done genuinely. I still have a cold, if you guys remember. And also, I am so emotional. It's not even funny. So you will have to forgive me. I am in a state. I am writing, I'm editing about my own childhood. It's taking me down some very nostalgic pathways. It's making me reflect on the things that were on a knife edge. And this story I'm about to tell you is one of those. So, Mr. Amevinya worked with my mother in the same polytechnic. They were both lecturers. He taught carpentry and joinery. And so he had a workshop. In his workshop, they would saw wood. And so we needed the sawdust. I would be sent to collect it. My dad was in exile at this time. My mom was trying to cope and manage me. You have met me. Do I look like a person who can be easily managed? No. So I was beginning to exert into myself. I was beginning, and when a person begins to exert into yourself, you experiment. I was wild. I was wild is an understatement. I was wild. Untamable. I have been untamable since day one. My brain has been very fast in calculating things, in checking things out. But you see, I was a girl who needed to be kept on the straight and narrow. Now thinking about it, the universe had such a clinical process to make sure that I did not veer, that I did not stray. Incredible. Anyway, Mr. Amevinya, they lived behind our house. We lived on the university, it's now a university, but it wasn't a university at the time. We lived on the Polytechnic campus. I think when we were very young, it was a technical school. It became a polytechnic later, and now it's a technical university. We lived on campus, and they lived right behind us. His workshop was not too far from where we lived, and so responsible adults in my life will send me to go and collect sawdust. When you are me and you go to collect sawdust, it's a chore, it's an errand, but it's not. For me, it was an adventure, because we would go with sacks to collect. By the time he would come into the workshop, I would be covered in sawdust from head to toe, having backflips, jumping across machines, doing things with dangerous equipment that I should not be anywhere near. I just did not know how to keep my hands to myself and to stay in corners where I was supposed to. Sometimes he would walk into the workshop, he would look at me and he would say, Doctor, Doctor, what are you doing? And that was enough. I was ashamed by that simple question. And I would just realize what I had been doing when he would ask that question to me. Doctor, what are you doing? Why do you look that way? Girl, why have you made yourself so filthy? Come here. Young ladies don't do that, you know. You are not a boy. Do you know? You are not a boy. He never really, I can't remember him ever calling me by my actual name. Not when I was conscious anyway. Maybe when I was very, very young. But as much as I remember, as far back as I remember, he called me Doctor. Ken, good morning. The leading device is not even showing me your comments. That's why I couldn't even see this. I've just opened it on here because I wanted to go and find. I am doing this video for various reasons. When your dad passes, it is quite therapeutic for other people to tell you their experiences with your dad. And so I knew that I wanted to do that for his children. I know his children very well. I did not have contact with all his children, but I was in contact here on Facebook with at least one of his daughters. And so yesterday I found his other daughter. I hope I will find. No. Alberta, when you see this, tag Irene for me, okay? I'm trying to tag, but it's not working. I want to give you guys this little gift. And I know your children may not have known your dad for long enough and up close and personal enough. I think it's really important for your children especially to know about their grandfather. And I would want your children and your children's children to know about their grandfather, their great-grandfather, your dad, through some of the stories that I want to tell you on this video today. This is a man who showed me generosity. But what makes Mr. Amevinya's story very special is that even the people around us had no idea this was happening. It was not done because he wanted to look good. It was not done because he never did it to an audience. Most of these stories I'm about to tell you happened between just him and myself. No witnesses. My mother got to find out later. My dad, my mom, my sister, they all got to find out later. When I started sharing some of these things later on, I would go home and I'd ask, oh, they were like, Mr. Amevinya retired. I'm like, oh, did he? Oh, I would hear things. I would ask about people. See, I have people in my life who were quite significant. And I track those people because usually I want to do something and go see those people. I want to go and pay homage to those people. Homage has not come to me in time for some of these people. But okay, that's a story for another day. Let me start from some of my earliest recollections. Like I said, some of my favorite conversations with this man was in his workshop. He would be at his desk. I would be apparently collecting sawdust. But it was never really about sawdust. He always spoke to me about my appearance. I was a tomboy. I did not know if I wanted to be a girl or I wanted to be a boy at that time. He had picked up that I was quite different from a lot of the other kids. He had children who were older than me. So he was an established father. He was a very experienced man. He was a lecturer. He was a teacher. And he understood young people and young people's development. And I'm very sure he saw that I was in this gray area. I could go left, I could go right. And it was something he committed to personally to help keep me on the right. He would ask, girl, I would be in the tiniest, tightest shorts sometimes, fetching this, unaware that I had actually come in public looking like that. Most of you who see me here know that I don't give a hoot about what I look like, even now. Well, imagine that. And he would ask, girl, what are you wearing? And then I would look at myself. Girls don't do that. Girls don't dress like that. Even ordinary girls don't do that. You certainly don't do that. Doctor, what are you doing? And he was one of those people who called me doctor consistently. And he was one of those people who made it very clear to me that I would be a doctor. Obviously, at the time, I thought I was going to be a medical doctor. Now we all know that I was not going to be a medical doctor. But I was going to be doctor. See, I'm doctor, aren't I? I am doctor. It probably registered in my mind, and it became important to me that I pursued it because of people like him. Yeah, my dad always wanted me to be a doctor. To be honest, if it was just my dad, when I did not become a medical doctor, I'd have given up and moved on and did something else. But this name doctor was so ingrained in my head because it had been something he had called me consistently for years. Years later, when he was at the technical exam unit, because he taught for a while and his career progressed and he went to the technical exam unit. I went to the technical exam unit to find him. Again, I don't think his children may know the story. I went to his office. I went to find him. My brother and I were looking for some documents at the time. He was instrumental in helping us to find the document. And when I went to, after everything was done, I went back to see him to thank him that what we needed had been found and blah, blah, blah. And when I went to see him, he was telling me, you know, this is what I envisaged for you all those years ago. I always told you that you could do so much and you are on your way doing so much. Girl, I am so proud of you. I think I even cried. When he told me he was proud of me, it meant a lot to me, even at that time. I was in university. I hadn't even graduated, but I was on track and I was keeping things, and he would ask me questions and he's like, wow, you're doing so well. Oh my God, isn't that miles from the little girl that I used to tell of a lot in my workshop? That's the first recollection of that. That was the first realization of even the things that happened until I had gone back to see him. And he told me that I had moved on miles from the little girl he used to tell of in his workshop. I had never thought of what happened in his workshop up to that point. I had not had time to think. I had forgotten about what happened in his workshop. And so those who would know would find that when I was going to Mr. Amevinya's workshop, I would check my appearance. I did not like combing my hair. Well, you've seen that my hair is now locked. My hair wants to be locked. Even at that time, my hair did not want to be combed. None of us understood. I'm sure if my mom knew and my mom understood, my mom would have locked for me and given me peace. All that. Well, I don't think in that time anybody was ready for me and locked hair. But my hair did not want to be combed. It did not. And so I did not like to comb it. It was painful to comb my hair. So guess what? It was untamed. It was all over the place. And most people insulted me with my hair. I had so many insults because of my hair. The famous one was a guy who worked at the local library. And he made it into a joke, so the other kids were laughing. But you see, I didn't care even from that point. But there were many things that could have really ruined my self-esteem. He said that my hair looked like a madman's pubic hair. But you see, Mr. Amevinya, instead of joining in with the whole thing of your hair looks like a madman's pubic hair and not really doing anything about it, he would talk to me about, you know, appearance is important. You've got to sort your hair. Doctor, how would people come to your consulting room with your hair like this? Doctor, what have you done to your skirt today? Doctor, come here. Come back, girl. And every time he would see me, he would have something correctional to give me. That was when I was very young. When he would take pictures, he was a photographer also. He was a freelance photographer. When he would take pictures, he would talk to you about fixing your face, fixing yourself, sorting yourself. As I talk to you, I think that's probably the reason why the appearance thing was very important to him. I never really asked, but I thank God that people like that made comments about my appearance enough for me to be conscious of it and for me to be mindful of it, and for me to watch out for how I looked, because I would have been even more carefree, more careless about those things if people like that had not been around to help me out. By the time I went to secondary school, I was becoming a young girl who was quite self-conscious about things, and I was doing things my own way. When I would come back from home, people who were in my home at that time were mostly strangers and my little sister. These people were not as committed to the home and its upkeep the way I was. By the time I came from St. Rose's Secondary School, where everything was pristine, I came home and I wanted everything to be pristine. And so, when I would come home, I would throw my suitcase down and I would jump in the gutters and start scrubbing the gutters. I would clean from the inside out. I'll start from the kitchen, go to the bathroom, and then eventually make it into the gutter. And Mr. Amevinya, anytime he walked past and he saw the gutters clean, he would scream for me, "Doctor, I know you home. I can see your signature in the gutter." Or sometimes he would come and I would be outside, because it used to be my ritual. When I get home, I had to clean the place from top to bottom. That was my act of service to my mother. My love language to my mother was the act of service. I loved my mother. I knew my mother overworked. And so I tried to overcompensate for that when I was around. So anytime I was home, I wanted to make life easy for my mother. I wanted to make things comfortable for my mother. And so I would be outside weeding, scrubbing, painting. And by the time I was done with this sequence, you will see stones lined on the walkway on the approach to the house. And I will have carbide on them, so it will be white. Pristine white, lined up. I will weed. I will scrub. I will have blisters on my face or on my hands by the time I am done on the first day back. And we will maintain this until I went. Obviously, when I was not home, everybody knew. This was also not something I had actually done because I wanted people to notice. This was something that I was doing as a gift to my mother and to myself. I loved it when my mom came home and she saw the walkway and I could see the beam on her face when she came in. When she came in to see all her clothes washed, starched, and ironed. When she came in to meals that I had cooked, that she had nothing to lift a finger on because I was home. That was something I was doing. That was my love language to my mom. That was my little love thing with my mom. But my little love thing with my mom also spilled around. And so few people around noticed, Mr. Amevinya being one of them. And I would be in the gutters and I knew as soon as I heard his voice, "Doctor," I would scream and jump right out of the gutter to go greet him. Filthy. And he would tell me how lucky my mother is to have a girl like me. How fortunate my mother was that I was so serviceable and and he would tell me about how I was maturing. Remind me of the little girl that he used to tell off from his workshop and tell me that I was doing really well. And you know, it is really nice to know that you are doing well, to be told by people you respect that you are doing really well. That meant a lot. And so when I had moved on from secondary school to the university, they had moved away. He had moved on to a different place. He had gone to a technical exam unit. At that time, I think my mom had even left the Polytechnic, I think. My mom herself had also moved on, or maybe she had not. The timelines are not exactly crystal. But anyway, when I went to see him, I was maybe second year, third year university, and he was talking to me And I told him at that time that I hadn't made it to medical school, and doctor was probably not going to happen. And he's like, it will happen. You will still be doctor. I know it. I know it. Did I believe it? No. Did I see any way around? But I thought it was so kind that this man would still tell me that although I hadn't gone to medical school, and to me the dream of becoming doctor was had died, he tells me without even flinching, of course not. You will find your way back at it. It will happen. I know this. It's a prophecy. It will happen. It's inevitable. It will happen. Was he right or was he right? Shame is that I didn't get to tell him how right he was, but I hope that he knew that he was right. Anyway, I saw Alberta and Irene. I think I saw your brother also some time ago, briefly on a post I made. Tag him also. The very little ones, I don't think I remember them all, and I don't think they remember me. But those of you who were around my age, I ask you this very question. Did you know that your dad was this incredible? I bet you didn't know, because he would not have spoken about it. Even my mother didn't know. My dad had no idea. Most of the people from that era who replied to my message yesterday were surprised that I had mentioned him, that I had posted him. They did not think that there would be any connection between him and I. Yes, I was a neighbor's child, but I mean, how many neighbors' children would have a connection with somebody enough to be able to cite that person? But your dad is one of my icons. I know his past, but I don't speak to him in the past tense, because he actually still remains one of my icons. The crazy character that I am, the things that I tell you in my childhood, the fact that I did not derail and I stayed on course, and I stay here in the luxurious position of being able to tell you foolishness of this and that. Yeah. Where I grew up, if it wasn't the mercy of God, there were so many things that could derail you. It took a lot of people who monitored you, who mentored you, who spoke to you, who got to your head before the alternative message could get in. And he was one of those people who got in my head early on. And his message was really simple, along the lines of self-respect, along the lines of decorum for a young lady, how a young lady was supposed to appear, how a young lady was supposed to comport myself. I was boisterous. I was energetic. I had a lot of energy to burn, and there weren't many opportunities, constructive opportunities for me to burn it. And so I was beginning to jump from machines. I would see a blade and I would want to see, can I turn it on? I lost my fingers. Can I turn this machine on? What does this machine do? What can we do? And sometimes I would go and he would be working on his joints. Those were my favorite things. If I ever went and he had the machines on and he was cutting, but it was precision cutting. He would cut. And now thinking about it, I think sometimes he actually did put that on just for me and my enjoyment. He knew I loved to watch him. So if I came and the machines were on and he was cutting something, he would let me come close enough to see what he was cutting. And when he finished cutting it, he would give it to me. And I just marveled at how clean his lines were. I would ask him, how can you keep it so straight? How can you keep it so straight? How come it's not crooked? And how is it so smooth? He had, what are these things called? I cannot remember what they were called. But there were these wooden things that you use to smoothen the surface of wood. I should know their names. But all that is coming to me is a saw. I know it's not a saw. There were these little rectangular things with and he would use them. Oh, I admired him so. I did not know that I was a fan of carpentry. I don't think I was a fan of carpentry. I was just a fan of skill. And to this date, I still am. I love skill. When you see a master craftsman at his workstation, it still excites me. And yeah, your father was one of the first master craftsmen that I got the privilege of watching up close and personal. Sometimes I would peek through and not even go in when he seemed really focused and he was working. I did not want to disturb. I would peek through and I would watch. And people would come and shoo me away. What are you doing there? What do you want? You naughty girl, blah, de, blah. And all I was looking at was your dad do his thing. I love skilled people when they get in zone. Again, now that I've grown, now that I've explored a little bit and I've understood, I'll tell you exactly what excites me. What excites me is watching somebody in their zone of flow. It is beautiful. It is what people pay for to go see musicians perform. Yeah. When you go to, I don't know, the theater, or you go to a music performance, you want to see a singer in flow. They know what they're doing so well. They don't think about it. It's beautiful to see a person in flow. At the moment I speak, if you see a speaker in the zone of flow and it's beautiful. And yes, I was in love with flow way before I knew what it was. And some of the first people who gave me glimpses of flow was your dad. I still can't tell you what the name of that thing is. You guys who know what this is, please tell me. Is it a plane? I think it might be plane. Carpenter's plane. Let me check. Yes! It is a plane! Oh, man. Let me flick the camera and I show you. It was this kind. Yes, this very kind. The manual plane. Oh. Oh, I love this. Love this. I am reliving some of my childhood. Is not even funny. This man had these tools. And when you went and he was using the plane, he did not look around. He did not speak. Did he even have music in the workshop? No, I don't think he had music in the workshop. It was him, his focus, his concentration, and he was so particular about, and sometimes he would do it and he would put his fingers on to check, and then he would be dissatisfied and he would go back and he would do it again. And then finally, when he was happy, he would stand up. Watching him work mesmerized me. It did. It mesmerized me. He was my mentor in ways that I did not realize and appreciate. And I think even he had no idea. I'm making even more connections now as I speak to you. This thing about him using the plane, I have never thought about it until today. As I'm telling you this story, as I'm allowing my mind to wander back to watching him work, I hope that the discipline his work taught me has also taught you, his children. I know he would have, because I saw him correct you. I saw him admonish you. Your dad was a present father. There aren't many of them around. He is a very rare species. He was so present for you, the children, and it also spilled off to randoms like me. And it was significant for the randoms like me because my dad was in exile. My mom was married, but she was essentially a single mother at this point. raising this recalcitrant character we all now know. Yeah. I was talking to my mom. So I'm editing my autobiography. I had written a section yesterday and I wanted my mom to hear the raw draft. And so I called mom. I was talking to mom. I told mom that bit and then I shared this small fraction. I told my mom that I had shared some of the written pieces with you, Alberta. And we got talking about this. And as I was sharing some of these with my mom, she was like, oh my God, I had no idea. But thank God. God bless him. God bless him. Because people still marvel how in those days, in the absence, when my dad returned, I was always going to be straightened out. My dad was like that. And that man knew his assignment. And again, my dad locks in and he makes sure it is done. But in the years my father wasn't around, until my father's return, there needed to be men who were not interested in taking advantage of little girls, who were not interested in verbally abusing little girls because they just don't fit a program. I was a little girl who did not fit. But it was wonderful to have people like your dad who were educators, who understood the psychology of children enough to know exactly what to say, what to do, how to correct me, how to shame me into correcting myself. And yeah, there are two people now, I'm thinking about it, who know how to use this technique really well with me. And those people are my husband and your dad. The two people who really know my sense of shame and how to use my sense of shame as a correctional tool are your dad, Mr. Amevinya, and my husband. My husband, when he's up to it, will say, Mame. And whenever he says, Mame, I know I'm goofing. Anytime I hear Mame, I freeze. And I'm like, what have I done? What have I done? What? And most of the time, he's like, did anybody say anything? No. And then I will have a moment of self-reflection. And I will figure out what nonsense I have been up to. Yeah, your dad called me doctor. And it had the same effect way before this one even turned up on the scene. Doctor. I would hear doctor. One person called me that nobody else on this planet Earth has called me doctor, that inflection ever. It was just for your dad. And anytime I heard doctor, I knew that doctor was supposed to be a self-respecting woman. Doctor was supposed to be somebody who would be good standing in society. And so I needed to forge that reputation from the beginning. Doctor was not a girl who was recalcitrant. And so when I was on my recalcitrant tendencies and I heard doctor, it was an invitation for me to self-correct. And because the correction was self-induced, there was actually Samuel, I might just go and buy a plane and put it on my table in homage to Mr. Amevinya. I just might. When we would do woodwork and carpentry. You see, I keep telling you, life is so organized. The problem is we don't have time to think about it. Do you guys remember that I was fascinated by him at work? Look at what sits right here. As academic as I am, look what I have here. I don't have a plane, but look what I have. I have embroidery machines. I have sewing machines. Do you remember what I admired about him was the precision to his work? Well, look what I do. Look what else I do. I was fascinated by Mr. Amevinya's workshop. This is my workshop. I haven't even thought about it that way, but it is exactly what this is. This is my workshop. Look. This is my workshop. You look at the machines. I have jewelry. I have this. I have that. All these things. Look. This is my workshop. And my workshop culminates here, where most of the wonderful things happen. But look, it's machine after machine after machine. Do you see? Yeah. The icons in the society are so important. When I would go to his workshop, it never really clicked that I was inspired by his workshop. It never did click until now. The fact that I like to see skilled people work. I like intelligent people, don't get me wrong. I love eloquent people. Oh. I'm a sapiosexual. I love intelligence. When an intelligent person speaks, boy, man, girl, whoever you are, whoa. I will sit and I'll gawk. But I have now figured out, it doesn't matter whether it is an eloquent person speaking, an intelligent person thinking and theorizing, or a skilled person making. What I am actually fascinated by is a person in flow. Whatever you do, when you get into that zone, because not everybody manages to get there. Some very special few people do. It may well be a musician who goes into his thing and it's beautiful. But yeah, I have been fascinated by flow for quite a while. How amazing. Anyway, Mr. Amevinya himself is not here for me to thank. This video is too late for him. But do you know the saying that says good men never die? And because I know good men never die, I want to carry on and make this video anyway. Why do good men never die? Good men never die because they raise children and they pass themselves on to their children. So I know his children are here, so he's not dead. He still lives on. But what is even more special is to help the good men never die by telling some of these stories. I know, as a young girl whose dad was in exile, the stories people told me about my dad really did sustain me. I got to know my dad through the stories. That was as real as when I physically got to know my dad later on. I would fantasize about this man that I was hearing in the stories, and I had this relationship with this man in the stories even when he was not physically present. So again, I know the value of these stories told by people who knew the people. I knew your dad. Your children can listen to me and know that I knew their grandfather. Even their children can listen to this and watch this later and know that I knew their great-grandfather. I knew him. I experienced him personally. I marveled at him. And you know what is really special? What is very special is people who do these interactions and keep it clean. In today's world, well, in the world for a long time, people have not been noble. People have not been noble. It would have been easy not to be noble. It is more difficult to be noble. And what is incredible is to be so noble and be so unsung. He is one of my unsung heroes. Most of you have never heard these stories. But these stories are significant. They are impactful. They affect a lot of things that have happened to me and will happen going forward. For me, one of the best things that has ever happened to me was to actually knuckle down and get this doctor thing done. Some of the people who made sure that this doctor was important to me and I pursued were Mr. Amevinya. So originally, when I was telling you the story, I was going to tell you the story about how he called me doctor, how he inspired me to pursue, how he's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. And on the day of my graduation, I was thinking about two men, my father and him. There were two men on my mind that I was so disappointed would not get to see even pictures of my graduation. It was Mr. Amevinya and my dad. For a woman my age who's been through so much, for a woman who has so many iconic men appear in my life and serve important factors, for him to be the other person on my mind beside my dad is quite significant, isn't it? Yeah, that is how impactful your father was for me. But as I've started telling the story, I've also told you stories of a man's mentorship of a girl, a crazy girl. A mentorship that did not happen in an office or in a setting. A mentorship that was not paid for. A mentorship that even my parents did not know of to even thank him for. It had no witnesses. When he would correct me, when he would chat to me, when he would talk to me, he did it to me. Usually beside a gutter that I was scrubbing, or somewhere that I was going to, or in his workroom when I was collecting sawdust, or somewhere on the campus when he saw me. But it was a thing. Anytime he saw me in a place, he would call me, "Doctor!" And that was very correctional. That was streamlining. It really was. So, let me show you. This is hilarious. Wait. This is now one of my things that I would need to go and find and buy. I had no idea the importance of a carpenter's plane. This is crazy. My mind is reeling like this. I have oh my God. Look. Majority of them were like this. This one. Yeah. But I think he also had some of these. Oh, I'm back in my childhood. Look at that. A person using this and using this precision tool to do this marvelous thing. Whatever you do, be excellent at it. You never know who is watching. Whenever you can, be kind to somebody. You never know what that will mean. Whenever you see somebody, correct them. You never know where they would get. Love is free. It is abundantly available. We should learn to freely express. Because to me, it is in those obscure little corners, in the places that you never know are significant. It matters in ways that you will never know. Who would have thought that one of my most significant mentorship stories would be in a carpentry workshop? Often in this carpentry workshop, I was watching this man work and I was admiring it. You know what I was admiring? Discipline. Mr. Amevinya was a quiet man. He was not really very noisy. He would come from wherever he comes from and he would come to his workshop and he would come and work. Not do much else. Work. And for me, that was inspirational. It really was. So I don't know how many of you are watching. I know this is not an entertaining video. This is a video that I want to do to give his children as my gift, as a thank you. Because I know that this will I know it probably will make you emotional, but it brings even further healing. My dad passed before yours. I still haven't healed. Occasionally, people will send me things that are personal. This guy recently sent me a diary thing and a pen. No, it was a letter he had written. My dad had written it in his handwriting. I cried when I saw it. My parents both had wonderful handwriting. I have terrible handwriting. So I love my parents' handwriting. So when I saw my dad's ideas written in his hand, and he says this is the very pen he used to write. So yeah, I know those things mean a lot to me now. I hope that this video brings you a little bit of comfort, knowing that you have been raised by an outstanding man. I hope that makes you realize how blessed you have been. Even those of us he touched on the periphery are grateful. I am grateful for the breadcrumbs that I got off your dad. So those of you who got to experience him as your own, he was your dad. He was there. He was your mentor. You are blessed indeed. So that's what I wanted to remind you of today. I was busy typing under Irene's, and I was trying to find, Irene, where is your name and why can't I tag you into this very video? Yeah, Irene made a comment, and I was trying to find, yeah, I had typed the name right. Ah, yes. Yes. Let me see. Let me see. Sometimes I just suck at these things. Ah, I found you. I found one. I did. Manuel, if you see it, also tag Irene, okay? Yeah, no, Irene, I cannot find to tag. I know her name, I've seen her name, but it's just not happening with a tag. Anyway, those of you who come to see this, this is my gift to the Amevinya children and their children and their children's children. This is my thank you to Mr. Amevinya. But what is important? Oh, somebody's replied to what? Huh? This Facebook is also something else now. Nobody replied to nothing. You stop being silly. Anyway, this is my gift to the descendants. This is my thank you to the man. It is so sad that the man himself cannot hear. And the regret I feel that this video is being made in his absence, I cannot describe to you. And this is the reason why I try my very best to pay my homage to living people whilst they are here. I like to thank people and acknowledge them whilst they are here and they can hear me. And for the rest of you who watch, this is not just something to be gossiping around. This is not an invitation for you to just come and watch. Yeah, I want you to listen to Mr. Amevinya's story, but I also want you to be inspired by Mr. Amevinya's story. I want Mr. Amevinya to encourage you to try to be better. I hope you will find your neighbor's kid whose dad is not here, who is probably on the way towards a direction they shouldn't go, and that you be the person that tells her not to do this. Young ladies don't dress the way you are beginning to dress. Where are your shoes? Doctor, where are your shoes? Because most of the time he would meet me, my shoes will be minding their business somewhere else. I will be doing something else. Doctor, girls don't show their chest that way. Fix your blouse, because my blouse will be hanging somewhere. Yeah, I had no boobs. I had no boobs for years, but still, I was a girl. My chest area did not need to be seen by all these randoms. Fix your blouse, girl. Fix your blouse. I know your hair hurts to comb, but listen, there's something about appearance and dignity that is important and will be very important as you go along. For the sake of your self-esteem, let's work on some of these things. Yeah, doctor, it's not too late. You will still find your way back. When he told me this conversation he had with me, maybe, yeah, in the very early noughties. In the very early noughties, or maybe 99, somewhere thereabouts. No, I think about 2000. Yeah. You will find your way back. Yeah, 26 years later, yes, I did find my way back. But you see, somebody has to tell you that you will find your way back. The importance of people like him is to keep the hope alive. When hope is alive, you will still pursue. And there is a chance that things will happen. When hope is dead, the game is over. And you need people like that to keep the hope alive for you, to motivate you to want to do it. I wanted to do the doctorate degree for myself. I wanted to do it for my dad. And the third person I wanted to do it for was Mr. Amevinya. And he did not even know it. Yeah, he did not know. And the foundations of this were laid. The stories I'm telling you are more than 4 decades old. Yeah. Over 40 years. It takes a long time sometimes. But you see, the length of time does not diminish the significance of the impact of the value. I hope you guys are inspired to do your very best for the people around you. If you do your best for me and I do my best for you, we all get the best. We will be very lucky to receive the best. I thank you so much for your time. I wanted to make this a video rather than just a post because I was writing and typing and writing and typing. Like, girl, what I have to say is going to take a lot of typing. Yeah, it is going to take a lot of typing. I was going to struggle to do all that typing. But yeah, Mr. Amevinya was a great man. He did me well. I benefited from his kindness. He was a great steward of an elder in the area I grew up in. And the impact of those people, unbeknown to them, is very far-reaching. It is long-lasting. This is impact from over 4 decades. Yeah, the man himself has been gone for 6 years. He passed in February 2020, so exactly 6 years this month. And for a person to have lived and have gone for so long, and for me to still have him in my thoughts, and to still have him featured in my stories. He has a paragraph in my book. When I wrote this autobiography in my childhood, I put this in. Some of the stories I've even told you today, I did not tell in the book. So I wanted to come on this video. I want to extend on some of the written text that I had done yesterday. And I hoped that me and the effect of this person's kindness might convince some of you to be more kind to those you interact with, to those you engage with. It's going to be a quick video, I know. I'm very emotional and all over the place, I know. But hopefully, the value I wanted to put forward is done. The Amevinya children are very, very lucky children. You were raised by an incredible man. Like I said, those of us who fed from the breadcrumbs that fell from your table were still filled by the kindness that spilled over from what was abundantly on your table. I know sometimes when you yourself are right there with a great man, you get caught into the mundane of the everyday things, but I hope you do not. I hope that you know who you had as a dad. I hope that you value it. And I would love to know some of your own stories around some of the things that I've just shared. Were you aware of them? Did you know? Did you notice that your dad always stopped to speak to me? Did you know? Did you know that he called me doctor? Did you know? Did you see that I would peek into his workshop a lot? Did you know? Did you notice? Yeah, there were so many people who were shooing me from there and maybe did not understand what it is that a little girl was in a workshop for all the time. Even when nobody had sent me to go collect sawdust, sometimes I'll go to the workshop to go collect sawdust, not because it was necessary, but because I got to be in the workshop. And I've told you today, the reason why I got to be into the workshop, I loved going in there, was it was a focus space. It was a zone where a master craftsman was doing his thing. And it was inspiring me at that time to want to do that. And it's one of the things that I do, which makes me very happy. I hadn't even thought about it myself, but it's wonderful now to go down this pathway and to make the connections. As Samuel says, thanks for sharing. You had the neighbor as role model growing up, and he has no idea you looked up to him. And these are the stories that I want to tell. A lot of us have people we look up to who have no idea we look up to them. I now want to be that kind of person for some young people. You will understand my choice of career and a few things. Somebody was telling me recently, why have you gone back to schools? I thought that you would. Like, my relationship with what I do for a living is complicated. It is complicated. It's no longer just about food. It's no longer just about food. At this particular time in my life, everything I do is about impact. It's about legacy building. It's about making connections. I am still thirsty for the ability to connect. I want a child later on to tell people about walking into my lab. And I have a lot of those stories already in the past, but I still want more. There are people who are teachers now, and they will send me their first assignments. Miss, I'm in our lab. I'm doing exactly what you used to do with us. Miss, I am volunteering in a school. I'm doing exactly what we used to do. Miss, yeah, I love it. I love it. But the reason why I love those things is becoming even more apparent to me as we have this conversation. I am thirsty for certain things because I know the impact that they can have. You be that wonderful neighbor. You be that excellent person. And the better person who does this is the one who does it as your everyday, mundane. It's not a performance. You don't need an audience. It will not be acknowledged for over 40 years. It will not be known. One day, a crazy woman will turn the camera on and make connections and associations. That's how a few people will know. But I think your greatest reward is in the achievement, not in the acknowledgement. Do things for the sake of doing them. Do them because they are right. Do them because they are what you are inspired to do. Be kind to little children. Yeah, you might be the turning point for a girl. You just might be. You may come up with a name, a nickname, a crazy nickname. It made no sense for him to call me doctor. It really didn't. But he did. And because he did, I became. Do you understand? Because he did. Because he called me that. And he said, young ladies, I began to clean up. Those who knew me at that time would find that I became a lot quieter. I began to internally seek. That was partly my dad and his influence, but part of it was also work that was done way before my dad's return. Respectable girls don't do certain things. Respectable girls do not have your blouse hanging. You have your buttons done. You sort out your appearance. You speak clearly, slowly. You don't shout. You don't scream. Yeah, those things were taught to me by people who were not in classrooms, by people who had no witnesses, by people who just did what needed to be done because they knew that was the right thing to do for a child. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Eternally grateful. Anyway, good morning to all of you. If you have your icons, Please do go and thank them before they pass. This thing I'm doing bleeds my soul. I hate that this is being done at this time and he can't see it. I would have loved this video to be shown to him. It would have meant a lot to him. I'll do the second best thing. The next best thing is to put it here and hopefully inspire some of you and hopefully bring comfort to his children. But my primary one is an option which has now been taken from me. Do not let yours be taken. Yeah? Pay homage to those who can hear you, those who can see the fruits of their labor, those who would enjoy the satisfaction. Yesterday, when I shared my writings with my mother, at the end she says, "Girl, you have blessed me so." I'm like, "Woman, what have I blessed you with? You don't understand what those stories have just done for me. You do not know the validation you brought to some of my processes. You do not know what acknowledgement has meant to me today." Acknowledgement means a lot. It means a lot. Especially to the people who labor. Acknowledgement means a lot. Validation is great. So give people their roses. Give your heroes their medals. Doesn't have to have a lot of fanfare. And that's the mistake I made. I wanted to finish the doctorate before I went to find Mr. Amevinya. But when I started the doctorate, he was still alive. I should have found him at that time and told him, "Hey, I've started." He would have enjoyed the "hey, I've started." "Hey, I've started because of you" would have really sounded good to him. I should have known that. Well, I didn't. Hopefully, my regrets will help you to avoid the same pitfalls as you navigate your journey. I need to go back to editing my book. But if you haven't started saving money to buy my book, do go and get money because it is coming. We are editing. It's crazy. So far, the title I have for it, I think is quite apt. Too Much to Tame. That's the name of the book. I may change the title just before I go to publication, but for now, the title is Too Much to Tame. I have been too much to tame. I've been thinking about too much to tame or untamable, something along the lines of, I don't know, we'll make last minute adjustments just before we go to publication. But for now, it's Too Much to Tame. And the characters that are coming alive in Too Much to Tame are very exciting. Some of those characters, good morning, Ellie. How are you? The messages are not popping in chronologically, so I did not see all of them. Do forgive me if you were on and you said something and I haven't replied, because I don't even see how to filter the comments to see all of them. Insane. Anyway, I'll be back very shortly.